The show kicks off in Atlanta, where the city traffic is already doing its best impression of purgatory. Inside a cramped apartment, we meet Nicole, a single mom who's juggling the impossible and convincing her 7-year-old son Dion to eat breakfast without turning the kitchen into a war zone. Dion, however, has different priorities. While most kids are obsessed with cartoons or asking why the sky is blue, Dion is busy practicing magic tricks. Only, his version of magic isn't some fake card shuffle. He casually makes his cereal levitate in midair like he's auditioning for Hogwarts. Nicole, exhausted, doesn't notice because motherhood comes with built-in blind spots for flying Cheerios. After the chaotic breakfast ritual, Nicole drops Dion at school. She then heads to her job, where her boss greets her with the subtle charm of a firing squad. Within minutes, she's unemployed. Reeling from the humiliation, Nicole meets her friends later to vent. But wine and sympathetic nods don't change the fact that rent is still due. Meanwhile, back at school, Dion's introduction to his new classmates is less than warm. He's one of the few black students there, and when he tries to sit down at lunch, the other kids abandon the table as if his mere presence has lowered their social credit score. The only one who stays is Esperanza, a bright girl in a wheelchair who knows exactly what it feels like to be invisible in a room full of kids. The two form an instant connection, sharing their lunch and a silent, "Yep, we're outsiders together" pact. Later, Nicole picks Dion up and they return home only to find Pat waiting outside. Pat is Dion's godfather and the best friend of Nicole's late husband, Mark. Nicole isn't thrilled. Pat has that energy of the guy who shows up uninvited but insists he was just in the neighborhood. Dion, however, adores him. Pat suggests taking the boy out for pizza. Nicole, fiercely protective, resists, but eventually gives in because one slice of quiet bathtub wine therapy sounds like heaven. At the restaurant, Pat entertains Dion with comic books. Then the conversation inevitably drifts to the one topic Nicole avoids: Mark. Dion asks how his father died. Pat fumbles through a half-truth about Mark's body never being found, while Dion clings to the childish hope that maybe his dad isn't really gone. Meanwhile, Nicole, soaking in the tub, slips into a bittersweet memory of Mark. He was a scientist, a man with an inventor's spark and a husband's warmth. In her mind's eye, he's showing her a Faraday cage, smiling, alive. The memory crushes her. She breaks down, her grief pouring out with the wine. If you enjoyed this recap, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more stories like this. Later that night, Dion gets home, and the secret he's been hiding finally bursts into the open. While playing in his room, he makes toys and Legos hover around him like he's hosting a one-boy parade. Nicole walks in just in time to witness her son casually rearranging the laws of physics. At first, she's stunned silent, but then Dion loses control. The room turns into a swirling storm of blocks and lamps. A rogue lamp nearly clocks Nicole until Dion freezes it midair. That's when it clicks. Her son isn't just imaginative. He's dangerous, powerful, and completely untrained. Terrified, Nicole rushes Dion to the hospital where her sister, Kat, works as a doctor. Kat checks him out but finds nothing physically wrong. Nicole insists her son is telekinetic, but Kat side-eyes her like she's gone off the deep end. With no medical evidence, Nicole is dismissed as a stressed single mom seeing things. They return home, but Nicole can't shake the reality. Her son is gifted, and it's both miraculous and terrifying. That night, she sits Dion down and tells him the truth about Mark. He died in a hurricane, sacrificing himself to save a woman named Charlotte Tuck. Dion swells with pride at his father's heroism, but Nicole can't help but wonder if there's more to the story. The next morning, deciding Dion needs a break, she takes him to their family cabin by the lake. A peaceful fishing trip should calm things down. Only Dion cheats. Frustrated by empty hooks, he uses his powers to lift half the lake's fish into the air. For a moment, he's triumphant, but then his control slips. The water churns, trees rip from the ground, and a log slams into him, knocking him into the lake. Nicole dives in to save him, heart pounding, her nightmare now confirmed. His powers aren't just fun, they're lethal. That night, rummaging through Mark's old jacket, Nicole finds Charlotte's number scribbled on a piece of paper. The discovery stings. Why did Mark keep this from her? Before she can spiral, Dion rushes outside during a rainstorm shouting about rain people. Nicole follows and sees ghost-like figures forming in the storm. Among them, Mark. He warns her to protect Dion before vanishing back into the storm. Nicole and Dion stand frozen, shaken to the core. The next morning, Nicole leaves a voicemail for Charlotte, desperate for answers, wondering if Mark had an affair. But instead of Charlotte, the local sheriff shows up, asking about a woman named Jill Noonan who disappeared during the storm. Nicole denies any knowledge, but the coincidence rattles her. Suspicious, she calls Pat. He insists he knows nothing about Charlotte, but offers to help. Nicole refuses, mistrusting his sudden interest. Meanwhile, Dion complains about being cooped up, but Nicole won't risk sending him back to school until he gains control. Later, Kat sets up a job interview for Nicole at the hospital. She brings Dion along, but disaster strikes when he starts floating mid-interview. Nicole rushes to him, blowing her shot at the job. Kat, seeing the chaos, is convinced her sister is unraveling mentally. Behind Nicole's back, she calls Pat to check on her. Pat, who works at a company called Biona, where Mark once worked, starts digging into Charlotte. His boss, Suzanne, reminds him he's no genius scientist like Mark, but Pat's curiosity grows. Nicole, meanwhile, continues her desperate search for work and finally accepts a front desk job at a dance studio where she once performed. The hours are manageable, and free healthcare is included. Back at Biona, Pat sneaks Dion in under the guise of Bring Your Godson to Work Day. They stumble upon a restricted lab called L5, filled with caged animals from Iceland. Dion heals a sick fox, stunning Pat. They nearly get caught, but Dion disables security systems with his powers, and they escape. Suzanne reviews security footage afterward, suspicious of Pat. Elsewhere, Charlotte finally contacts Nicole. They meet in the woods, where Charlotte reveals she can turn invisible. She explains the truth. During a trip to Iceland, she and others, including Mark, were exposed to an aurora borealis event that granted them powers. She swears she and Mark never had an affair. They were working to understand their condition. Nicole reels from the revelation. Charlotte warns her that a creature from the storm killed Mark and is hunting her too. Nicole shares this with Pat, who's bitter he didn't get powers since he was at the Iceland camp, but inside recording data. His resentment bubbles. That night, Nicole finds a hidden SD card in Mark's old watch, containing encrypted research files. She and Charlotte discover a list of others from the Aurora event, including Jill Noonan. Their conversation is unknowingly spied on by a Biona drone. Suzanne, watching, learns Dion has powers. The story shifts to Alabama, where Walter Mills, another Aurora survivor, uses plant-growing powers to keep his farm lush while neighbors' fields rot. But when the storm creature arrives, he fights valiantly and dies, leaving his son Braden orphaned. Pat continues to investigate at Biona, suffering migraines that he hides from Suzanne. Nicole and Dion keep pushing forward, with Charlotte now training Dion in teleportation and invisibility. For once, the boy begins to control his abilities. Nicole, relieved, begins dancing again with Rashad, her old colleague. For a moment, she feels human again. But Pat's obsession with Nicole grows toxic. He kisses her impulsively one night, but she rejects him. Hurt and resentful, he stews in silence. Soon after, Charlotte is ambushed at Nicole's apartment. Pat reveals his horrifying truth. He is the storm creature. The migraines, the bitterness, the secrecy, all signs of the monster living inside him. He kills Charlotte in front of Nicole, confirming he also murdered Mark. Nicole flees with Dion to their cabin, but Pat manipulates Dion online into revealing their location. He arrives, demanding Dion heal him. Nicole learns Pat feeds on others like him to survive. He transforms into Storm Man, destroys the cabin, and hunts Dion at his school's science fair. The climax is chaos. Dion, armored with sports gear, faces his godfather-turned-nightmare. Nicole, realizing Storm Man can't detect her, sneaks in with a metal rod as a lightning conductor. With her son's powers focused through it, they destroy the creature in an electrified blast. Spirits trapped inside Pat, including Mark, are released. In an emotional moment, Mark embraces his family, reminding them that energy never dies, it only changes form. He warns Dion to stay vigilant. Then he fades away once more, leaving Nicole and Dion shattered but stronger. Just as peace seems possible, the show delivers its final gut punch. In Alabama, Walter's orphaned son Braden, seething with anger, emerges from the decaying farm as the new Storm Man. His eyes glow with stormlight. Evil hasn't died. It's been reborn. And with that chilling cliffhanger, the first chapter of their story ends. If you enjoyed this recap, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more stories like this.